Shall we begin?
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Candid Conversations. I am your host, the laid back, down to earth life coach, Aisha Israel. Okay, I was supposed to be on the screen. What's up, everybody? It is Monday again. Thank you for tuning in to Candid Conversations. I am your host, the laid back, down to earth life coach, Aisha Israel, and we're going to get started. So, I have had some rest, so I'm doing a lot better this week than I was last week. And so what happened, one of the things that happened is that my mom's older sister came into town and she picked my mom up from here and they hung out like all day, all over the city. I don't really know where they went or what all they did, but they came back late. So I was able to just get a little bit of physical rest, some emotional rest. And so, I mean, I didn't do anything spectacular, but just to not have to be responsible for that period of time just kind of felt great and allowed me to relax my nerves. And then I don't know what happened. So last week, I had opened up a brand new bottle of Cooper's Hawk Sweet Red. And I mean, I only poured a half a glass and I figured I would have that bottle for like a couple more shows. Well, somebody in my house drank it. And so I had to stop at the store and get some Stella Rosa peach. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. We have a great show lined up for you tonight. I hope that while I am introducing my guest, that you are getting ready with your glass of wine because we are going to have a little toast later on in the evening. But I just want to let you know that we have a boss chick and we have a spotlight this evening. So first up is our boss chick. I will say that the first time that I met her, or at least the first time I remember meeting her, was not even in Chicago. It was in Mexico. And she is a doctor, a psychologist, a sexologist. But she also has her own company that she started called Pretty Ink. And I want her to talk about that and to tell you what that's all about. But she is very down to earth. But she's so cool, so knowledgeable, and so much fun. So I can't wait to introduce you to her. Her name is Dr. Mac, and up next is our boss chick. Welcome,
Hi.
Dr.
Hello,
Mac.
hello,
How
hello.
are you?
I'm excellent. Thank you for that cool introduction.
Yes,
You look so
I
pretty.
forgot to mention that I have run into you in Chicago since I
Mhm.
met you in Mexico, and that was
Right.
kind of cool. But so I'm not going to take up your platform. I want you to talk about your company, how you got
Mhm.
started, what you do with that, and all that good stuff.
Okay. Well, thanks again. It was a pleasure meeting you or bumping into you or however we continue to find ourselves in each other's spaces that got me
Yes.
here. So thank you so much for even giving me the stamp as a boss chick and having me
Yes.
on this evening to kind of chat about what I do. So by trade, I'm a community psychologist and sexologist, like you said. So what does that even mean? It really just means that we're researchers that do enough research and gather enough data to say, hey, there's a liaison between your community and whatever you are working through, challenged with, that can assist you in that. And
Mhm.
my lane in particular is with Black women and sex, how we communicate about sex, not only to ourselves, but how we pass it down to generations to come and how it was passed down to us. And I really enjoy the work because there aren't a lot of us that are very
Mhm.
intentional about working with Black women and Black girls specifically. And I think after seeing so many voids throughout my doctoral program and working in a lot of different arenas, I said, well, let me fill the void myself.
Mhm.
Firstly, with children, which is where Pretty came into fruition as a nonprofit that partnered with Chicago Public Schools. So we're at about 700 plus girls, and we work with them
Yes.
starting in fifth grade.
Okay.
And we do not promote abstinence nor marriage.
Okay.
Anybody who wants to participate to learn the good and the challenging aspects about sex are in our program. That's Pretty. Clutch Pearls is a personal firm that I started with a clinical psychologist, Dr. Adrian Faulkner, and we
Hmm.
work with Black women specifically, or really on a onboarding program, is what we like to call it,
Okay.
for your sexuality and your sexual choices. So if I want to go from the first level of interaction, whether I decided to get married and now I'm divorced and I want to move into another space, you
Hmm.
kind of come up with a plan for that. If you have always been monogamous and want to introduce another way of living sexually, we kind of help you with how to navigate that. If you want to go into the dating world because you finally hit all your metrics and you like, well, I have not been even thinking about this for a while, so how do I do that? So
Okay.
we just kind of very casually help each other, if you will, figure out what's next in sex.
Got it. Okay. And so, you now how do parents respond with you saying you start with fifth grade?
Mhm. So it varies. I would say
Okay.
in Chicago, the schools that we're at are community schools, and we do have to have the participation and the buy-in of the community. And I
Okay.
would say that it's still a challenge for some parents, and I'm going to not say parents, I'm going to say mothers, to
Okay.
get a clear understanding of how important this work is and this conversation is at an early age. So I would
Mhm.
say depending on the community, some of the parents actually say that their girls can't participate in our program and they send them to gym or they send them to another elective. And we
Okay.
don't get upset about that. We understand that there's a lot of fear surrounding sex and sexuality, but we really just try to bring a realistic approach as best we can so parents can understand how the most fearful thing should be your child not being aware.
Okay. Do you find that a lot of parents maybe are fearful that their children are being introduced to something that they're not ready for, or just that they just don't want them to know anything?
I think the term introduced to something they're not ready for is a generic bumper sticker that we use to
Okay.
make ourselves comfortable. I think that we
Mm-hmm.
love for our students and our children and our grandchildren to be really, really smart and really, really in front of a lot of the things that are going on in this world and beyond, except for when it comes to sex. I think that it's an adult level fear based on experiences and traumas that they've already
Hmm.
had. And I
Hmm.
think that if we discuss those and we navigate those and we're honest about those, then we can assist them from basically repeating our stories. So there's no such thing as ready.
Okay.
I was interviewed a couple months ago, and a mother said the exact same thing. I said, well, she wasn't ready to see a video of George Floyd being murdered, but it happened.
Mm.
So are we really going to play particulars and semantics with what's really going on out here and think that there's a stopwatch that's going to go off and say, okay, it's time for it? No, got to
Do
get in
you?
front of it.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
It's okay.
So do you meet with just children, or do you meet with them and their parents as well, or do you meet with them separately with parents, or
So
like how
I
do you get parents
prefer
ready?
So my concern isn't necessarily getting parents ready. I think we come
Okay.
in and we do a pitch with our principals and with some of our community leaders, and we go through our scope and sequence and what we offer, and then we
Mhm.
send a permission slip home. Ideally, our
Oh,
company
okay.
doesn't even like for teachers and instructors to be in the room with us.
Okay.
We prefer that the girls feel organic, where they can speak freely and flow freely without the
Okay.
judgment of their parents, the judgments of some of their educators that they have to see every single day, or just comfort levels, right?
Okay.
So we do offer parent workshops as a part of some of our school contracts, but primarily we're there for the girls. And when we get to work intensely with adults, that's the for-profit march, and that's with Clutch Pearls. So 5th through 12th grade, we rock out with them individually. And once we get past that, it's like, okay, let's do some deep diving and some deep digging.
Okay. Got it. And how long do you have long lasting relationships with the schools, or is it like for one season or one quarter?
No, it depends on the school. One of the
Okay.
schools, we've been in the Chatham community, in the Inglewood community, in the Roseland community for our entire 6 years. Because prior to that, I was always working in the nonprofit sector in Chicago Public Schools. Before that, I was an
Okay.
educator myself. So my relationship with the educational system in Chicago is hitting its 18th year. But as it
Nice.
relates to the 6 years that Pretty has been around, we have some substantial relationships within those school communities.
Okay. So you're pretty well established.
A little bit. It's still a ways to go
Hmm.
because we want to expand a bit and kind of reroute. because COVID shifted a lot of our curriculum and a lot of our direct service,
I'm
obviously.
sure. Yeah.
We have a lot of things coming down the pipeline late 22 and 23 for more girls outside of the school system.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, that's very cool. So, okay, you kind of did tell me a little bit about your journey. So, I
Yeah.
guess I don't have that question specifically, but like on your journey, what kind of obstacles did you have to overcome? Because I find, well, I'll say that next part
Mhm.
after. Go ahead.
And I think, and excuse me for not answering that more directly, but my journey was full of obstacles and amazing support systems. So I'll go all the way back and say, started off as an elementary school teacher. I taught language arts and journalism. I thought that I wanted to
Mm,
do curriculum development. So I got my master's in that and began writing up curriculum for a lot of different spaces. Continued on to see kind of what my niche was and always erred on the side of what is it that I already do for free? What is it that I'm
mm-hmm.
already passionate about? What is it
Yes.
I'm already gifted with,
Mm-hmm.
which is like one of my favorite Les Brown lessons from like 1993. And it always stuck with me because it's something that I already do. So becoming a researcher was the next step for me to make what I was thinking and feeling make sense analytically
Mm-hmm.
and be
Yes.
backed with data, right? So get
Yes.
into this program. Challenge number one, you want to study what with who? You want to talk
I'm
to black
sure.
women about sex regularly and really dig into them and get them to unlearn some things and rethink some things. Um,
Yeah.
it's a continued challenge, but I love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then I wonder, because there's such a stigma in our community, and I don't know how it is in other communities, but in the Black
Mhm.
community, were you always this comfortable talking about it? Or, I mean, like, did you have a comfort situation at home, or was that something that you had to get past?
Absolutely. My sexuality and my sexual freedom is comforted within my community. And what I mean by my community, within the black women that participated in the village that raised me. So I think that my very existence and the confidence that comes with it, or the endurance or the discipline that comes with it, is a direct reflection of how I was raised.
Okay.
And I was raised in a space of freedom. I was raised in a space, where it was okay to be nude. It was okay to speak about your feelings. Sometimes people would deem it inappropriate, but my
Hmm.
grandmother was a go-to. My great aunts were go-tos. I can still be in a space from now until forever and pick up the phone for a
Hmm.
matriarch of mine before I have to pick up the phone for a medical physician. And
That's
I
cool.
think that it really assisted me and is part of the energy that's behind my passion to make mothers and grandmothers and aunts so equipped, because I'm a living testimony of, if you give them the truth, they'll live in theirs, and it's a happiness that comes with that. um,
Okay. I
so
like
yes,
that.
my community helped me out a lot.
Okay. Now, is that your quote?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I like that. We're gonna have to write that one down and pass it
Yeah.
around. Okay. So always to end my boss chick interview, I just ask, what makes you a boss chick? Now you've said a whole bunch of things, and I can say what I think makes you a boss chick, but what,
Thank
in
you.
your opinion, makes you a boss chick?
Authenticity, and really just only being charged with the objective and not being charged with explaining why it's my objective. I
Hmm,
think we get caught up in trying to understand what people think, trying to understand how to be accepted. But if it's your passion and if it's your calling, that's just what it is. You just have to do it. And the
okay.
minute you move in that space, you can feel yourself boss up.
Yes, the freedom that's in that.
Yep.
Absolutely. Okay, so I want you to give everybody your website or whatever type of
Okay.
information they need to get in contact with you, and tell them the best way to do that.
So the best way to contact me is my name.com. So that's HAREDERMCDOWELL.com. But of course, for all of the fun stuff, because I'm always giving ideas, activities, hump day assignments, and I actually have an invitation coming out this week for a date with me, because
Okay.
we've kind of rerouted the traditional one on one to a more social laid back setting. And we're launching that in partnership with Ashanti Johnson and 360 Mind, Body, and Soul in Chicago on the 29th and 29th of October. And that's the next big thing that's coming up for Black women. So we can kind of start these couch conversations um,
Okay.
about things we're getting into. So the website, Instagram, DRHMAC. And once you get to the website, it'll take you everywhere I'm at.
All right, sounds good. Okay, well, I appreciate you coming
Thank you.
on. I appreciate you having the time to just share with us
Mm-hmm.
and give us some little nuggets because it wasn't a long interview, but you gave us some important information and especially ways that people can get in contact with you if they want to find out more.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to invite you to stay for later in the program when we do our girl
Okay.
talk. So that's when we get our
Okay.
questions and scenarios and go through that. You ready for that?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. All right. So next up is our spotlight on health with Dr. Carlita Hughes. Stay tuned. I don't remember that intro being that long before. Hey, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. It's good to see you.
It's nice seeing you.
Welcome to Candid Conversations, Dr. Carlita Hughes.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yes, good. Well, I know that you have some important information to share with the audience, and since
I'm trying
this
to
is the
get
spotlight.
my camera.
All right, so since this is the spotlight, I'm going to let you have the floor.
Okay.
And when you are ready for me to return, you can just, let me know you're done and I will return. So without further ado, everyone, Dr. Carlita Hughes with the spotlight on health.
Okay. Hey, everyone. Again, I'm Dr. Hughes. I'm a pediatrician. I've been a pediatrician for a long time now. So I'm not going to tell you my age, but I finished medical school in 2006. So, my spotlight on health. Now, everyone knows I'm a pediatrician, so I take care of kids from newborn all the way up to 21 years old. But I wanted to talk to us as Black women and give you some advice that can help you, especially during the pandemic. So, my advice for women, especially mothers, whether you're a single mother, you're in a new marriage, if you're a first time mother, or you're a mother of multiple kids, I just wanted to help and give you three important parenting advice that can help you through the pandemic. So, my first advice for mothers, and this is the most important. So, this one I think you should write down. It's the most important advice I can give. Number one, take care of yourself. And what do I mean? Making sure that you're okay, making sure that you feel whole, making sure that you take care of your mental health, your physical health, and your well being, your spiritual health. And it doesn't matter your religion, it doesn't matter how you do it, but that's most important because you're the foundation of your children and your home, really. So you have to make sure you put yourself first, which many mothers, that's hard to do. Even me, I'm a mom, and that's very hard to do. But I try to do things to make sure I take care of myself. So let's just talk about how you can mentally take care of yourself. Make sure you do a mental check. If you're not feeling good, if you don't feel your best, if you need a timeout, don't keep it inside. Don't get overwhelmed. Don't get stressed. Talk about it. Let someone you know, someone you care about, know how you're feeling. So if it's a parent, if it's a grandparent, if it's a best friend, if you need help, don't be shy and don't be scared to say it. So, number one, take care of yourself. A part of that, your mental health. Next is your physical health. Now, during the pandemic, I don't know about you, but me, I gained weight during the pandemic. Don't know how, but I gained weight. And most people say stress, and you wouldn't imagine how much stress accounts for weight gain. So, your physical health. So, what I do Monday through Friday, I do a Zoom class online, and I've been doing it for a while now. So, physically, make sure you take care of your physical health. It doesn't have to be a Zoom class, it could just be walking. It can be you drinking more water. It can be you taking one day a week and say, hey, I'm gonna do a intermittent fast this day. Or I'm just gonna eat more vegetables than carbs this day. Or I'm gonna park at the end of the parking lot just so I can get a little more aerobics in and exercise. So I'm not only taking care of my mental health, I'm also taking care of my physical health. Lastly, spiritual health. That's very important. And it doesn't matter your religion, but you should take time out to meditate, take time out to pray, take time out just to thank God about what you have accomplished. Us as women, most of us are very driven, and we forget to just be proud of ourselves and give ourselves a pat on the back for the things that we have accomplished, no matter the battles we have to face. But you're just being where you are today. You had made sacrifices. You did a few things to get you there. And you should take time to thank God and thank yourself for being that. So the first and most important of all of this is take care of yourself. Okay. The second advice I have for you with your children is take time to communicate with them. Have a conversation with your children. Talk to them. Figure out what they like, what they dislike. Listen to them. I can give you an example. My daughter's into BTS. They're an Asian group. And for some reason, she's infatuated in it. And I listen to her talk about it. She shows me pictures. She shows me videos. She shows me their music videos. Some of them are cool. But I listen to her. And her just feeling that she's connected to me and we're bonding over something she loves. That's very important, and that will help release stress during the pandemic. So my second advice is to communicate and listen to your children. Last advice would just make sure you do a mental health check on your children. I'm noticing children as young as 4 years old up to 20 years old having anxiety and stress and depression. And this is amplified during the pandemic. So make sure that you check on your children's mental well-being and mental health. Talk to them, communicate, ask them how was school, ask them how they're feeling. If they're in their rooms, isolated, keeping the door shut, infatuated with the computer, make them cut it off. Make them come to the table and talk to you. During dinner time, have a conversation. Make sure they're doing things that they regularly do. Make sure they're communicating with friends and they're not avoiding people. Make sure they're not being bullied and taunted online. So check on their mental well-being, because I've seen a lot of depression, anxiety, and even self-harm have amplified during this pandemic. So I hope my advice helped. I'm just going to review one more time. Most important advice, take care of yourself. Number 2, make sure you communicate with your children. Communicate, but not just communicate, listen to what they have to say. Get involved. Try to bond with your children about what they enjoy and what they like. And lastly, make sure you do a good mental health check on your children. I am Dr. Hughes. I hope I helped you, and it was a pleasure. Thank you for having me on the show.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That was some really good information. Now, how old is your daughter?
9.
9. Okay. Mm-hmm. Because my daughter also likes BTS. And my daughter, she's 15.
Okay.
But she took it upon herself to teach herself Korean.
My daughter is doing that too. She's looking up Thai and writing it and communicating.
Wow. Yeah. So, okay.
Children are so smart.
Exactly. So she says things and I'm just like, okay, I'll just try to respond. But she has like all these labels all over the house in Korean.
Yeah. My daughter even has the sweater she maybe buy on Amazon. And I'm just thinking, I wish the Jackson 5 was out right about that.
I know, right? So they can see. Well, actually, my daughter has seen some. Yeah.
But
exactly. Well, thank you so much. I'm going to also extend to you an invitation to stay for Girl Talk. I know you're a mom. I don't know if you have time to stay, but we get into some Girl Talk where we just have some relationship conversation and answer people's questions. Okay. If you'd like to stay. Okay. All right. So, but sit tight. Next up is Girl Talk.
Thank you.
Oh, yes. It's time for Girl Talk with Dawn B, Latanya, Eudania, yours truly, you lay back down to earth. All right, ladies, it's time to decide. Would you like a question, a scenario, or a personal truth? Think about it, but whatever you choose, get the wine. All right, now it's time to get this conversation started. Hello. Hello, everybody. How are you? Hey, Dawn. Thanks for coming.
Oh my God.
All right. So before we get started, I want to say that. What'd you say?
I said Dawn is warm. She making me hot.
I'm sorry.
Well, today is Monday, September 27th. And what was it? Thursday was September 23rd. So we had Dawn B's birthday.
And Libra season.
So we want to say happy birthday to Dawn B. She rocked it out over the weekend. And then I'm going to pour my little wine for us to have our birthday toast because tomorrow is my birthday.
Happy
birthday.
Yes, I'm 35 years young.
Okay.
No, just kidding. I was
Well,
35 12 years ago.
I can feel the energy.
You look 35.
from
Go
Dawn.
ahead.
I felt like she was a Libra. I didn't know that you were as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I'm 10-10. So let's round it out.
Oh, okay. Sounds good.
I can
All
tell
right.
my purple lip. I said,
I'm surprised I am even here. Oh my God. I've been running literally.
mm-hmm.
I won't show y'all what bottoms I have on under my black, but
Please
hey. Happy
All right.
birthday. Hi, ladies.
Okay, so let's raise your glasses to life, love, and happiness, and another year around the sun.
Cheerio. Peace and blessings.
Yes.
Manifestations.
All right, so that was the birthday toast. I don't know if you guys want to do anything else. You have something else to say, Dawn?
Nope. Cheers.
No, you good? Okay.
I have
All right.
covered for my Thursday birthday, and life is good.
Yes, it is. All right. So now I'm going to go over the rules for the people who are here for the first time and don't know what the rules are. So we have a bank of questions, scenarios, and personal truths. So every lady on the panel gets an individual opportunity to select one of those things on the list and an uninterrupted time to answer before the rest of us chime in. So, yes. And I always start with the person who's next to me on the screen. So, Eudania, since you are next to me on the screen, you are first up. Would you like a question, a scenario, or a personal truth?
Scenario.
All right. Jumping in. Okay.
I know, right?
Okay, so that is not the right one. Let's see, because that looks like it says go to the next page. All right. I have been seeing someone for a few years. He has never proposed, but states he knows I'm his wife. He has been with other women, but he always takes care of me. We are not sexually active at all. I know sometimes we have to be patient and let God work in men, but I don't think I have that kind of long suffering. He apologizes time after time and repents. I know this is toxic, but I love him and I'm still trying to hold on until he is healed and able to commit. These things are difficult when the heart is involved. Should I move on? What would be the best way? Take it away, Eudania.
This should be easy.
Father God.
On that note,
I know, right? Let me drink my tea. Well, if it's the key word is toxic.
okay.
It's a toxic relationship. If this is a toxic relationship, there's nothing to talk about. There's nothing to, I mean, it's this thing is just going on and on. It depends on like how long it's a lot of questions that, we can ask to this thing. How long has this thing been going on? How many women has there been? And those are two questions. Let's ask these questions. So you don't think enough of me or have enough respect for me to commit or to not see other women. She should move on. she should move on, because it's I mean, it's mentally is doing something to her mentally as well. So if it's toxic, then whether it's she's been in this years, months, or I don't know how long she's been in this thing, but it's a perpetual, it's a sickness. You're making yourself sick. You're waiting on something that's not going to happen. You know what I mean? And that's just my opinion. Maybe somebody else has another opinion, but the key thing for me is that it's toxic. I need to move on. You know, it's bad enough we have our own things. We don't know what the young lady is going through. She could have her own problems. You know what I mean? Personal problems, and then with the man involved, that's
Well, I think.
added.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
think part of it. So I feel like she says, "Should I move on?"
Mhm.
But the fact that she follows that up with what would be the best way, to me, seems like she's already decided to move on. She's just trying to figure out how.
Now. Mm-hmm.
Girl, she is ridiculous.
Okay. Why
She
you
not
say she's
even, he cheating. She not even having sex. She don't even know if that's her man for real, for real. That question cannot be. She is illusion, whatever the word is.
delusional?
Delusion.
She's her. He already left you. What does she stand for tomorrow? He repents. Girl, good night.
I think if I could chime in a little bit,
Of course.
he said no several different ways, but a lot of times we pretend we don't hear it. The letter or the conversation, I think everybody has had a conversation with a girlfriend about a man or about a woman, and you know that she's talking just to talk. She's not really looking for a solution. You're just there as a sounding board. And I heard that letter as, I just feel like writing something down, but I already know the answer. And I think that what's toxic is something that's in her that accepts this as a relationship. I'm confident this man has never said that they were in a relationship. I'm confident that she lives through scenarios and fantasies in her head and scripts them down to what he'll say when she says whatever she says. And what we have to understand is that's not reality, because it's happening in your head. That man never said anything direct in black and white about being in a relationship with you. Not even physically. He doesn't even give his body to you.
He said he sees her as his wife. He said,
I don't care what you see me as. You never asked me to be so, and you don't speak futuristically as if I'm going to be that. So the bad habit that we have sometimes is putting words in people's mouths, specifically that we are loving or feeling intimate with, that they have not said. This man does not portray or show any signs of being in a relationship with her. It is something to do, and she started it saying he does everything for me. So I need her to understand that if it's transactional, why are you asking for something else?
I think they're related.
You think they're related?
I think they're related. They're not having sex. He's taking care of her. He's with other women. I think they're related, and she's just not telling us.
there you go, Doc.
They're related.
That's a cousin.
She talking about her sugar daddy.
No, ain't no sugar.
No sugar. They diabetic.
And not having sex. He said, you feel like you're my wife. It's either his mother, his cousin, or somebody close.
Oh, her diabetic sugar daddy.
To tell us.
and listen, it's another side to that letter. I'm gonna go with Dr. Hughes. It's something else.
She definitely needs help. Number one, she's sexually frustrated because she's not getting it from him, and she's not even moving on from any. Like, what's the point of being there?
There's so many.
Unless she got 3 other boyfriends.
No, seriously,
Which she clearly does not.
She needs to move. She needs to move on and work on herself. Something is definitely not right within. There is a major self-esteem issue with her, and she just, if there's any truth to this story, it's like she feels comfortable being in a situation because she's in a situation with someone, no matter how she's being treated or anything. I just feel like she's just there. Someone in the comments said he must be into
He must
polygamy.
be into polygamy.
He
Not
ain't into
necessarily,
polygamy
because he would have married her.
with her.
Right.
No, he's not
They'll be
giving any
related.
orgasms
They
out.
can't get
So how can
married.
he be polygamous?
Yeah,
Right.
I think he's
Well,
just
he might
stringing her
be.
along.
He's
She's
not giving
giving
it
him
to
something
her.
Not
that
with
he
her.
wants.
Money
Right.
and a roof over his head.
Yeah. They're
Yeah.
related. They can't get married. I'm telling you.
But
Dr.
she's
Hughes.
obviously giving him something that's keeping him calling or showing up, but she's not getting out of this what she needs. I agree with the self-esteem issue. Like, she's got to make a decision of what she will tolerate and what she won't tolerate. Like, if you have to write it down, then write it down, make a list. But this is what I will and will not tolerate. And if that person is not willing to be on the list of things that you're willing to tolerate, then they must go. You have to be strong enough to walk away. There's not really a whole bunch of preparing to do unless he lives in the house with her, but it doesn't sound like he does. So block him on everything. Don't answer his phone calls. That's a good way to, I mean, it doesn't seem like they have a real strong tie. So she could just walk away. I think she could just block everything. Block him on social media, block him on her phone, and not answer. Don't answer the door when he comes over. She just has to work on being stronger.
Or she can get 2 more of them and call them brother husband.
I'm done.
Next.
God is
Related.
related.
Okay, let's
I love it.
let's move on. All right, Latanya, would you like a question, a scenario, or a personal truth?
I need to go with a question because I can't deal with the scenarios.
All right, here is your question.
I know, right?
How young is too young for PDA?
What's PDA?
Public
Public
display of
displays
affection.
Oh,
So in this picture, I don't know. Oops, wrong one. I don't know how young they are, but they look pretty young. But he's grabbing her behind and doing all kinds of things.
oh, anything under 18.
Yeah.
So when you
For
were in
your
high
baby,
school,
I take it.
Hey, this is not about me. This is about that girl and her little boyfriend in that picture.
okay. So you would tell them they have to wait until they're 18.
If my daughter was 16 or 17 and out like that, I just feel like there's still a level of respect. When I say 18 because by that time kids are way at college or young adults are way at college. You don't really know what they're doing. You kind of feel
you just don't see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's too anything under 18 is too young to me.
Well, I mean, I don't know that I would say 18, but I mean, I work at an elementary school, and the oldest there is 6th grade. So if I saw something there, I'd have to say something. Like, that's just, you got other things you need to be doing, in my opinion. So yeah, but high school, I think that's probably, I don't work inside of a high school. I've never worked inside of a high school. That just seemed like that might be a normal thing. But I think that they would probably have to be told like what's appropriate and what's too much or something like that. But I would, 18
I'm going
seems
for
a
high
little
school.
old.
That's
Yeah,
a little
high
old.
school.
No, that's a little old. By 18, she should be a buzz down. No, I'm just playing. I think I'm going for high school too. Hey, it's my birthday. High school. I remember when I was in high school and I had a little boyfriend. But like you said earlier, like a second ago, appropriateness. Please don't let him be molesting you out in the, like, you can hug, hold hands, it's natural. It's a natural thing. You attracted to him, he's attracted to you. Right. But tone it down. Don't treat the bus like a hotel room or your bedroom.
I agree.
I think 18 is a little old and not realistic. I don't know. But
Very
my friends are younger and younger and younger. You will be surprised how many virgins I have with chlamydia. So I think
wait a minute.
educated moments is most important, and to educate them. If they're holding hands in grammar school in 8th grade, personally, I think that's okay. As long as I've seen puppy love in 8th grade, 7th grade, and it's not getting out of hand. But the grabbing of the butt and things like that, they should be a little embarrassed. However, this new generation is different. They're exposed to things that we were not exposed to. Their parents are
Are they
exposed
really?
to things that we wasn't exposed to. So
Are they really though?
Yes, I think on a mass number.
Y'all remember the thong song? The thong was blurred out. We didn't see
No,
those. Now
Yeah,
No.
but we were able to purchase them though.
no, Luke was out then.
realistic and what we expect. We have to
Whoop,
go
the
with what
face
we're
down, butt up.
If not, they're gonna learn from their friends, and they're gonna be those virgins
What?
with chlamydia. You just
I don't know. I came up on Snoop. It ain't no fun if the homies can't have none. I came up on the original. There's some hoes in this house. Ain't the original hoe in this house.
So I hate to call bullshit on all 6 of these players.
Wait, what?
I don't understand.
I'm sorry to cut you off, Dr. Hughes, but I think I'm agreeing with you. I gotta call bullshit, y'all. It's 2021.
Yes.
And to be perfectly honest,
Wait a
like,
minute.
what the hell does 18 even mean? We're still playing with these numbers like it means something internally.
What are you calling bullshit though,
We
son?
know 18. I'm about to tell you why right now.
You said we was on bullshit or they on bullshit?
I'm calling
number.
bullshit on 18. I'm calling
18.
bullshit on thinking that it's something that we can actually determine or discourage, and why would we want to discourage it? When we think of affection, unfortunately, when we hear public display of affection, we think that it's always going to lead to sex. And it's like we see, moms out in grocery stores cursing and hollering and screaming and giving public displays of violence and abuse to children. But if I see, mom is huggy and kissy, or your dad and your brothers are huggy and kissy, that means you're an affectionate kid, because that is how people show love to you. And that is how you're developing how you show love. So you're supposed to be developmentally on par. You should be attracted to someone and liking someone in elementary school. You should be kind of feeling what that feels like. And if the first thing your mom does when she sees you is kiss you, and your grandmother hugs you, the first thing you're going to do to the little girl or the little boy or whoever it is that you like is experiment. What is this kiss? What is this touch? So if we're starting that at 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, by the time we was in high school, by the time I was in high school, both of my high school boyfriends hugged and kissed me at my locker every day, and I wish they wouldn't have. I would have had an attitude. So my love language is public displays. I want to be, as an adult woman, grabbed and touched and kissed on and addressed. And I think the biggest challenge is that we think that's something you get automatically. If you've never been affectionate and no one has ever shown you affection because that means sex, then you're the person that usually is a bit awkward when someone is trying to be affectionate towards you. And then you sitting on my couch wondering why your man grabs you at a restaurant and you back away because that's inappropriate, because you have a learned behavior of what appropriate
I don't understand what's happening.
Relates to your relationship. I'm not sure.
What age is inappropriate?
And
but I think what she's saying, I think she's just, correct me if I'm wrong. I think that she's saying affection is affection. But I think that what we're saying is that there, or maybe there are no boundaries.
Put the question back
I'm not
up.
sure if
Understood. Put the question back up.
I'm with
I understand the question.
Okay,
I don't
I understand. If
it's not a long question. It's not long. It just says how young is too young.
And I'm saying it's not a step. It's not an age on it. It's my answer. It's not an age and having an age.
He's saying it's not
an
age.
You can't call bullshit though.
I can't. I think
that's not bullshit in my opinion. In my opinion, too young is 5th grade. I said rock out in high school. Not
but I guess maybe are we? So let me ask.
Because I said 18.
What's realistic? Not your opinion.
Right. So public displays of affection. I guess it.
Hold hands with boys all the time. I've seen girls that are on the cheerleader team in grammar school bring posters for their boyfriend on the team in grammar school. These girls in high school are different. I used to work at 2 high schools. And I promise you, when I came to work, I felt like I was on a music video. Those girls look good.
Yeah.
Lashes, hair, smell good.
Together.
They were women and they were freshmen. They are not the same. When I went to high school, we all had ponytails at CBS and we thought we were looking good if our scrunchies matched our uniform. I don't know. I know I ain't the young youngest person on here.
You were, and we was sneaking and
But
having
I'm
a whole
just
lot
saying,
of friends.
realistically, these girls are not in the mindset that we were. I agree. I have a 9-year-old. I want her to wait to 18. Tanya, I want that. But realistically, will she? I knew my daughter liked boys at 3 years old. And that's 3. And I told her father, you better get her. Because at 3, she showed me signs of jealousy when a boy she liked had a cousin. She didn't know it was the cousin. And I promise
wow.
you, this is absolutely true. We went to a skating rink, a preschool skating rink for a fundraiser. The boy that was in her class had a cousin there. They were holding hands and skating, and my daughter had an attitude. And I said, "What's wrong with you?" And she pushed the little boy. And then I said, "What's wrong?" She said, "Who is that?" She was 3 years old.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
She said she got it from me. I think she got it from her auntie. But anyway.
So I think, go ahead.
Children are children and they're exposed to different things. But for sure, mentally, they're changing and they're a little more grown mentally than we had to be, is all I'm saying. We had the chance to be kids. I honestly don't think that these kids are allowed to be kids. They don't even know how to play.
Right, they don't know how to play.
So
but I think there's boundaries though. I think
girls just gonna say, where are the boundaries?
Right. I think there has to be right. So
but it's none.
But there should be, and that's the role of parents though. That's the role of parents. So I'm
younger. They're younger
true,
parents.
But they're not all younger.
There's no community. I mean, we're talking realistic. At CVS, when I went, you couldn't be pregnant and go to CVS. I went to Southside school in CVS. You could not be pregnant and come to school. They put you to an alternative school.
Tess, what was the name of that school?
8th grade pregnant.
Tessa.
So is it changed now? You're saying?
Absolutely.
So I haven't been.
You can go to high school pregnant, and I went to a private school.
She said what we want, and realistically, what's happening.
I went to all white private school, and they had pregnant white women there.
Well, they sure put them black girls out of Julia.
And that's more dangerous.
And like she said, CPS too, you have to go.
Okay, so one thing.
You have to address.
Okay, so for us to be able to hear everybody, we have to take turns. But I was just going to round out the question with just I think that there may not be boundaries, but I think that there should be boundaries, and I think that there should be different levels of understanding. So while we're saying they're exposed to a lot of things, and while they're more grown than they were when we were younger, the brain is still developing, at a certain rate. So they're you know what I mean? They're acting like they're grown, but they're not really grown. You know what I mean?
They're making developing different than our brain did, for sure.
Completely different. And they're mimicking a lot of things that we're doing early.
They are definitely mimicking.
Mentally, they're changing too.
So then as parents, are we just saying, okay, well, they're developing differently and it is what it is, or do we say this is not appropriate in public? Or how about, not saying that you can't be affectionate, not saying that you can't love someone, but there is a too much. You know what I mean? Like, okay, so a 5th grader shouldn't be grabbing on somebody's behind and tonguing them down in the hallway. Like, that's just not. Yeah, so that's all that I'm saying. So I'm not saying like there shouldn't be like, okay, like Dr. Mack was saying, like if you're shown affection, then you want to show affection. And I get that. I've seen that in preschool. You know what I mean? But still in preschool, they're kissing somebody maybe on the forehead or on the cheek, or they're grabbing a hand. I haven't seen a preschooler try to French kiss anyone, or I haven't seen a preschooler try to grab someone.
You do call me because I'm gonna call CPS.
And I'm in CPS.
That's not fair.
Actually working with girls regularly in the high schools and in the elementary schools. We can't give them a blanket statement, which is why when I hear stamps like ages or words like appropriateness, I'm like, each kid is an individual.
That's
and
true.
In understanding that 5th grader that's already doing that level of PDA is something else going on. So when we say when we just say 18, I don't want to see anything.
Right.
It sounds very concrete, and it kind of makes them learn how to be better liars and just sneak and do it. And I'm always an advocate of getting them to do things right in front of you because that's how we can protect them.
Excuse me. I'm a woman of a certain age, and I feel like it was being done when I was a young girl. I seen it then. I see it now. I don't feel like kids are totally different from when I grew up because they literally listen to the same kind of music. I recently saw a 3-year-old try to kiss my 8-year-old son in his mouth. Okay. And her mom is my very good friend. She's like, oh shit, I'm sorry. It's the princess movies. It's the princess movies. I'm stopping it. Like, she straight up bugged out too. Like, what are we?
Does mom have a boyfriend? Is it just the
She has a husband of 15 years. She does.
Oh, okay.
And,
Uncles
and yes,
family
she's
members that visit or babysit?
I'm sorry?
Any family members that babysit?
So yeah, her auntie. That's it.
Okay.
Like, this is a straight up strict, it's not even a strict family. It's a respectful, loving family. And that little girl picked up on the princess movies. She may see her mom hug her dad and kiss her dad. And she may think that's how you're supposed to do it. But if their family is not disruptive, abusive.
No, I get it.
This is a personal family I know. So just to say that, anyway,
Let's Let's move on because we're running out of time, and I do try to like to get everybody a chance to say something to get one. So Dawn, Dawn, it's your turn.
What's gonna be quick? Personal.
Probably a personal truth.
Okay, let me do a personal truth.
All right. You get to have a theme song as you walk into the office. That's if you have an office. What is it?
I'm fine. Mary J. Blige.
Oh, Mary J. Okay, I'm like, wait, what?
That's what I see when I'm looking at me when I'm walking past the mirror.
Got you. Got you.
I love it.
All right, I like that.
So wear a smile even if it's raining. No time for negative vibes because I'm winning.
Oh, you singing the whole song. Okay.
That's quick. That was quick.
All right. Anybody else have a theme song they want to say? Or let's see what time you have.
Yeah. Mine has always been Closer by Guapoli. Closer to my dream. Yeah, I like that. I'll play that over and over again.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm a little more ratchet. I like Independent. INDEB. That song is what I play all the time. So.
All right then. I can't even think of one. A theme song when I walk in. I don't know. Anybody else?
Mine is 6 Inch Beyonce. Very, very specific.
Very direct, very specific. Got you.
And it's about him. Where y'all? What you thought I was talking about? She's talking about you.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Mine is Jesus keep me near the cross after this.
Oh man. Yeah, theme song. I don't know, but I do like Neo's song Independent Woman. Yeah. All right. Well, that was cool. And we're going to move on to Dr. Carlita Hughes. Would you like a question, a scenario, or a personal truth?
I'll take the scenario.
Look, let me see.
You helped me. I said, wait a minute. If she get a scenario, then I don't have to get one.
Okay, let me see. Because I told you this scenario's got a couple of pages. Okay, that's the end. So this must be the... Okay, so it says, I am a mom of 4 beautiful boys, 10, 5, 2, and 4 months.
Aww.
My husband is a firefighter, and I'm not sure I can do this anymore. My baby was born at 33 weeks due to a placental abruption. Mm-hmm. I lost over half of my blood, coded, and my baby was revived at birth. Because of the nature of his birth, he has brain damage. He now has a tracheotomy and is ventilator dependent. He has a G-tube and more diagnoses than I really care to go into, but he's alive and I'm thankful. But that doesn't mean it isn't hard. It sounds like it is hard. My problem is my husband didn't take off from work when he almost lost me and our son. He didn't take time off during the 4-month NICU stay. He's been home 2 weeks and just had to be transported by ambulance to the PICU. Oh, that's a baby. Okay, due to respiratory distress. My husband, again, isn't taking time off. Am I crazy for demanding he take off work? I'm tired. I'm sick. My son requires 24-hour care. I've been up since Friday. I feel like my husband can be everyone else's hero but ours, and I just don't. What? Hold on, let me take that off because I can't see it. I just don't get why. Okay. I'm at the point where I want to leave, but everything with my son requires 2 people and I don't have anyone. I've tried talking, begging, pleading with him. I even offered to pay him his day in wages if it meant he would spend 1 day home with us during a crisis. I don't know what else to do. I'm not sure what input everyone can put into this, but at this point, I'm open to just hearing anything.
Well,
Dr.
first, I would say
Carlita.
I can definitely understand the turmoil that she's going through. That seems hard, very hard. But I also think men and women process things differently. He's a firefighter, so usually they're on like 3 days on and 3 days off. So I don't want to assume I'm not him, but he may assume that him being there the time he's off is enough. And unless she's communicating with him what exactly she needs, I think it's a problem with the communication. I think men process things differently. I've seen scenarios where instead of men staying home and crying, they work extra hours. They are busy trying to avoid what's really going on because they can't mentally take it. They don't. Right. They want to be strong for their partner, and being in that scenario is overwhelming for them. So they keep working. They try to continue what they normally do. So I think that maybe counseling, communication, church, but I think she just needs to communicate more with her husband because, I mean, they're having a lot of children, so they're sexually active. So some love is there.
Agreed. I think a lot of times when we're emotionally exhausted, we forget that we haven't said anything out loud. Yeah. So I agree that they probably need to work on the communication because she's probably just yelling, "Take time off. You need to take time off." And he's like, "I'm here.
I'm here every 3 days. What else you want?" You know?
And also coming from being a military spouse, which is very difficult when you decide to have children. My ex-husband, was very dedicated to the Marine Corps. Right? He's a captain. He's been in 20 years. That's his life. He read it. That's all he knows. He knows he produced a family. He used to know we were home. And I would have to physically pass out. No, for real, I have. And he still almost could not protect us like he protected his Marines.
Right.
So my advice would be listen, since you got money to pay that man his wages, pay an au pair.
Get help. Absolutely.
Get some help.
In-house nurse.
Very good point. Yeah.
Like you said, it's clearly, Dr. Hughes just said, it's clearly love in the house. Right? You got to make mad at those babies every couple of years.
One is 4 months. They were doing something.
Yeah, right. A nanny would be good. Yeah.
I
think or you have to know what you married because firefighters and people, in those careers really have taken an oath and depending on what kind of man or woman they are, they really stand by it. Almost to the point where you question, are you choosing me over this career?
Over the job. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that both of those are good points. And I think the undertone is really just asking for help. And I think that a lot of us, as Black super women, quote unquote, think they can be super men. And, you hear that story a lot where she's doing everything.
Right.
And, has expectations. And I don't think that we ask for help, whether it's mental health assistance or getting a support staff, because we just figure that if we do that, is something wrong with it, or you should be able to do everything. And I think the number one thing for us is kind of I don't have to, and I won't do it all by myself. And maybe the person that I did it with is not the helpmate for this.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Pay for help and pay for help in the house and for your marriage if she has a problem with communicating.
But where would she get enough money to pay for his wages?
She said she would, so she must be doing something. Maybe she has some online classes or Mary Kay, or I don't know, something that's paying her when she's not working. I mean, you know, if she's got like a downline or something, I don't know.
Yeah, drug dealer, yo.
Oh. Okay. All right. Well, I want to give Dr. Mack a chance before we close. So, a question.
She is funny. You see the comments over here? Somebody got a PPP loan.
What is a PPP loan?
Does she have a brother? That's the
nursing it. Oh my goodness.
All right, here's your question. Ooh, that one looks like it might be long. Well, let's the next question. Why did your last relationship? That's not a question. That's a personal truth. Okay. I'm like, that looks long. You're like, it's over? Okay. So it says, I was told that eventually kids will see for themselves which parent was the problem. Is this true?
Ooh.
That's hard.
I think that you can, once you start living that trauma, you know exactly who you got it from. And I think that you start to hear your mama and it scares you, or you start to hear your daddy or somebody and you realize like, oh, I got this from right here. And either you keep going or you like, okay, I recognize it and I need to fix it because I hate it when they did that to me. So I think you definitely realize exactly who you got some of your bad habits from. I definitely do.
Okay. That makes sense. Anybody else?
No, what I was just thinking is that a lot of times kids don't necessarily know who the problem, like that there was a problem when the parents were not together, unless another parent is communicating that to the children, or unless they're seeing something up front or personally seeing their parents argue and things like that. And of course, over time, kids see things for themselves. So if the dad is not there and the mom is always there, over time, when these kids, they get their phones and daddy never answers for them or they don't show up, they'll find out for themselves anyway. But a lot of times, as adults, we communicate things to children before they even see it.
Agreed. Sometimes it takes longer and it's probably frustrating for the parent that's trying to be patient and watching, and you know, the children are just loving on that other parent and they're like, well, you know, looking at it kind of funny, but I agree. I think that they eventually do.
I think if there was a problem, eventually they would. Because not all the time, not sometimes. A lot of times we live in dysfunction, but it's functional. You know what I mean? Like it's functional to us, but what if you go to therapy or you're looking into like, no, that's dysfunctional, you know?
Right.
And so I think eventually if there was a problem, they'll see, like Tanya said, and like you said, to piggyback off of, they'll eventually see that, oh yeah, you know, dad didn't call me back, or it was, you know, mom's crazy, or, you know, something like that. Eventually that behavior will tell on itself as they get older and mature mentally. You know what I mean?
Right.
They'll start maturing, you know, depending upon their age and how mature that they are.
Agreed. Okay, well, ladies, that's our time. So sit tight, and I'm going to close the show. And for those of you who want to hang out for the after set, you know you can.
I'm
all right.
If we gonna have to
birthday,
Thank
happy
you.
birthday to
Thank
everybody.
you. Okay, hold on.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Candid Conversations. I appreciate you joining us for the birthday toast and girl talk and all of that. I hope you got some important and valuable information. Again, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And as always, I want to remind you to know and embrace true love because you're worth it. Have a blessed evening and a wonderful week. Good night.